He and my friend were working out at your old house.
Yeah.
I was outside of the city. They texted me that Jackson just did a 30-minute plank and he just gave up, and Nathan was still going.
Welcome back to Zoo, episode 2 here. Today we have Michael Zoo, my brother. He's a marathon runner, Wall Street worker, and just my brother, I guess. It feels pretty late in the day, doesn't it? I feel like it's like...
No.
Oh, well, well, I feel like it's late, just because I woke up so early. So, why don't you introduce yourself, Michael?
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Zoo. I grew up here in Lexington, Kentucky. Went to the University of Kentucky. Studied finance there. Grew up swimming, playing baseball, going to church, and ended up moving to New York after the University of Kentucky to work in investment banking. So I did that for a couple years at Bank of America. And then just this past August, I started a new job in private equity and still in New York and back in Lexington for Thanksgiving.
Okay, perfect. Sounds great. So, we're going to start off today with a segment, actually.
Okay.
Right, nothing about any of us in particular. It's called Quote This. So I'm going to say a quote. We're going to have to guess who it was from, which might be hard, whether we agree with it or not, and then we're going to rate it. Like A, B, C, D, E, F. Or A+, something like that, okay? So first one, if you set your goals ridiculously high and it's a failure, you will fail above everyone else's success.
I have no idea.
I don't even know who this person is.
I feel like I've definitely seen that quote before, but do you know the answer?
No idea.
James Cameron.
Oh, movie director? Yeah.
Movie
Never
director.
would have known.
Okay, yeah.
I've heard his name, that's it.
I'd say I don't think I agree with this, honestly. Agree with this quote. So, if you set your goals ridiculously high and it's a failure, you will fail above everyone else's success.
I mean, to some extent, it's true. It's just not really words to live by, I don't think.
Yeah, I think what he's saying mainly is like set your goals ridiculously high. So no matter what, you'll succeed or you'll fail above everyone else's success.
I somewhat agree with that.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
My thing is, so I'm viewing it as like in a swimming lens. I think just because that's where I mostly hear like success and failure. So like if I set my goal to be like 5 seconds faster than what I am right now, and then I fail, I am like 2 seconds faster.
Yeah.
I still might like fail above everyone else's success, but I don't think that I would end up doing better than I would normally if I set
agree in swimming.
If I set my goal normally to be like 2 seconds faster. I feel like it would end up the same.
It's just less motivating at the end.
Yeah,
less
it's
fun.
I feel like
swimming's
it's just
more so about fun than life, I guess. And
I feel like it's just
so
more like demoralizing at the end. It more does that than lead to a better outcome.
I don't know. I feel like it's hard to test in the short term.
Definitely.
Especially
in like one
in
season.
the real life instead of in swimming as well.
True.
I feel like swimming could have, like you don't know, right? Like it could push you more.
Yeah.
It could push you more, and then you don't reach the goal, and maybe it's demoralizing, but maybe you end up a little better than if you had set your goal at 2 seconds faster, and then you were 1 second faster instead.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be a cool.
I'm sure it's not like it's not bulletproof. You still have to. I think the key assumption is that it'll push you harder. If you just set a crazy goal but you don't work any harder, then so.
But generally, so you agree with it generally?
I agree with the approach. Yeah, I think it's a.
Okay.
I think it's a good approach. Set very high goals.
And I'd rate this probably. Me, I'd rate it a D.
D.
D. Yeah, pretty low. Pretty close to F.
Probably rated B.
B.
I'll give it a C plus.
C plus. Okay.
Also, just because it's James Cameron. James Cameron.
James
like,
Cameron. Yeah. Okay. Number 2. Always remember that you are absolutely unique, just like everyone else.
Yeah, I've heard all of these, but like I don't know. Who
Yeah.
said
I don't
that.
feel like you need to remember that
Yeah.
in life.
Huh.
I think I'll give it a D.
D.
Oh, are we supposed to guess who
Oh.
it's from too? I have no idea.
No clue. Margaret Mead. I don't even know who
No,
that is.
yeah, I don't
actually.
even know who that is.
I think she's a. It says right here, she's just a women's activist, so women's cultural activist. But always remember that you're absolutely unique, just like everyone else.
So, I guess next is, do we agree with it?
Yeah. So
I mean, depends how you define unique.
it's basically
Yeah.
saying like you're unique,
But
but everyone else is
yeah.
unique, so you're not
I'd probably,
really unique.
I'd probably agree with that. Or,
Yeah.
I'd probably.
Yeah, I agree with that
Definitely.
too. I think I kind of like this too. It's like wordplay. It's like you're unique, just like everyone else.
Yeah.
So how are we rating it? Are we rating it on how cool the quote is?
Just
or
rating it on like how much we like
Overall.
it. Just if we like it, just how much we like the quote, how good we think
I'll
it
stick
is.
with my D.
D.
I feel like it's a non-statement.
Andrew's a very critical grader.
No, I mean he gave James Cameron's quote a C plus. Not too bad. That's pretty bad. I'll give her a B on this one. I kind of like this. Or a B plus. B plus. Not quite an A. A B plus.
Probably give it C.
C. Okay. Alright, third one. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. I'll give you a clue.
Who's a
on who
famous
this-
person?
Famous person. Around like the American Revolution time.
Wait, say it again?
Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn.
There are too many people to guess, and I have nothing to do.
Probably-
It's not.
It's-
It's not Thomas
Benjamin
Jefferson,
Franklin.
is it? John Adams?
Benjamin
Did I get
Franklin?
it?
Yeah.
John
Let's
Hancock?
go.
No, Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin
Oh,
Yeah. It's
that's
probably
yeah.
just
That sounds like something
attributed
Benjamin
to
Franklin
it.
would say.
No, I mean, he did write a bunch of those books too, so it could be a
Okay.
correct quote. Yeah.
A lot of quotes are attributed to him.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I definitely agree with this. It's pretty.
Yeah, I think I'll give
Yeah.
it
Simple.
an A minus. Pretty good.
Yeah. I give it a B plus again. Oh, A minus.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
C plus, D, and A minus. So you like this one.
Uh-huh.
What do you think?
Involve me and I'll learn.
Oh, man, I think it's very true to like school.
Yeah,
People asking for help and stuff. They just like tell me the answers.
I like that. Yeah, I'd probably
Yeah.
give it a.
Definitely.
Probably give it a B.
B. No, that's pretty good. Yeah. No, and what I meant earlier or just like 10 seconds ago I see it in school as like a lot of people when they're asking for answers and stuff.
Yeah.
Once you
For
try to
help on
help
the
them,
homework.
just tell them the answers relatively often, and that's just
Yeah.
pointless.
Yeah, I mean, you
help.
see that in work too.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't, go with work. Like you can, you can complete the work. Like you'd be surprised. A lot of times you can complete work and like not learn anything.
Really, but
Yeah, like
are you
just
more? But in work, you're kind of like in school. You're focused on learning. You're not focused on completing the work, kind of. But in work, aren't you more focused on just like doing the work? Like, you really learn from your work.
in the right profession. In my profession, you have to constantly be learning a ton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like all the time. Because, but I guess you're right though.
Why
In a
is
lot
that?
of jobs, because in what I do is we invest in businesses, we buy
Yep.
businesses, and so we're investing. We have this large amount of money that we manage for investors.
And where do you get
So
that
it's
money
like-
from?
From generally it's institutional investors, so that means think like pension funds, endowment funds,
So, like,
retirement systems.
Rich
So
people. Rich people, basically.
no, it's people who it's not individual people. There are some individual people, but it's usually large institutions that manage money for a large group of people. So
Gotcha.
just to give an example, one of our largest investors is, I think it's the New York firefighters or New York Police Department
Gotcha.
pension fund.
Okay.
So it's like they're managing the retirement savings of all these firefighters and policemen. And so they give the money to various private equity funds, or various investors like us, who then actually go and invest in companies. And so when we invest in a company, it ranges from anywhere. It could be 100 million to 300 million. And you can't do that nonchalantly, right?
Yeah.
You have to learn everything about the business, everything about the industry, everything about the market, everything about, everything there is to know about the business. And at the end of the day, like, there will always probably be a few things here and there that you miss, but you want to make sure you don't miss just the big, just the big picture, the big and important things. And so you can see why then in that scenario you have to learn like a lot, right? Because you have to know before you put, call it $200 million to work. You got to learn everything there is to learn about that business and industry. But I get your point though about, now that I think about a lot of other jobs, it's just like completing work. You're probably not. It's probably very repetitive. You're not learning anything.
But even for that example where you're investing in like $200 to $300 million deals, after you invest in like deal one with this company, I'm saying, does that really help you with investing in deal 2 and deal 3 and deal 4?
So it helps you build it certainly helps you build a knowledge base, especially if you look at companies in the same industry. But every business is so unique, right? And there's a lot of different things to learn. And also, like, at my level, and you're looking at various sectors too. And so there's always, and then also
sectors. Do you mean like industries, like
oil? Industries, and even within certain industries. So just basic example is consumer, right? That is what a lot of people think of like consumer industry. But with a consumer, you have like food and beverage, you have e-commerce, you have retail. You have, all these different sectors within it. And so you're constantly having to learn. And then also, like, even if, say, industry really well, the state of the world, the state of the industry is always changing, right? So you have to understand all the trends that are going on that will affect your businesses, that affect the businesses that you're looking at. So it's constantly learning what's going on in the industry and understanding how that affects,
I see
businesses
that.
you're
So
looking
definitely
at.
as you really learn about one business, you'll know so much more about the next one.
You'll learn. Yeah, exactly. But there's still a lot more to learn.
There's always more when you have to learn about the whole world.
Okay. I see. What's like the most interesting business you'd say you've dealt with? Just interesting to you, not like
or a very interesting business.
Yeah.
Not the most like money or anything, but just like intrigued you the most.
Intrigued me the most.
Yeah.
So this isn't even a business that I've come across at work, but like I know some people that it's not like a big business. I don't think there's a big company that does it, but power washing. Do you know what power washing?
Yeah.
So like I know some people who it's
you get a higher pressure jet of water and shoot it at stuff to clean it.
Okay. And so it's like a really good business. I know some people who didn't go to college. And they went to trade school or something like that, but they didn't go to college, and they do this for a living. And it's not like just knocking doors. Like they have a small business, but they make really good money. Maybe $100,000-$200,000 a year. Only have to work 9 months of the year, and they own their own business too. So they're like they're the business owner. They sort of drive and control everything.
So what specific part about that intrigues you? Is it
It's just the idea that or the aspect that I don't want to say anyone can do it. I don't want to simplify it, but it's not hard, right?
Obviously, not everyone can do it because then they're making $200,000 to $300,000 a year and being business owners. Like, if everyone can do it, more people would do it.
I think with industry, and this is just an example. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's similar to that, that I find really interesting. Like basically a lot of those sort of blue collar trades. So think say HVAC maintenance or HVAC AC repair, stuff like that, or landscaping. A lot of stuff that people just don't think about coming out of high school, right? And it's just not as I don't want to say there's this negative stigma, but
I think you can say that. There definitely is
it's not as glorified as some corporate job, right? But I know so many people who don't go to college, right? So they have no debt and don't spend any money on that. They learn this skilled trade. They get good at it. They start their own small business, and I don't know. I see those people sometimes. I think like I compare them to like, a lot of other professions, and I feel like a lot of times they're like, it strikes me sometimes like that they have like the best setup, right? Like they don't have to work. Well, I don't say they don't want to work a ton, but a lot of times they can control their schedule, right? Yeah, they own their own business.
I definitely
make good money. And in those situations, I feel like you have a lot more autonomy too. Just when you're a business owner, when you own your own business. But I feel like it's overlooked a lot, and there's actually a large shortage these days of workers and labor for those kind of trades, just like AC.
Maybe that's why they're so successful.
Power washing is not
or
plumbing.
Very hard. Yeah. Like a lot of my roommate grew up power washing like in his neighborhood and made like a lot of money, but now he works in finance in New York. He never thought to do. We always like half joke about just like we should just quit our jobs and like come down and start a landscaping and power washing company or something in Kentucky.
It's definitely very true. I think society it started to value less skilled trade jobs and more like intellectual stuff. Yeah. Or less labor intensive jobs, I guess.
Yeah, trucking is another example where like there's just like a huge shortage, and it's just right like it's just maybe it's society valuing that less, or there's less people who want to go do that. Also, it's just like tougher job too.
Yeah. So you admire that part of it.
Yeah.
Just the work.
Yeah.
Just the grind.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, one more thing with the so you invest or you advise or actually invest in the companies.
We actually invest in the companies.
Actually invest in. And then you're like investigating everything to actually make the decision too, right?
In conjunction with a team.
Okay,
So there's a team of like 3 or 4 people.
So what are the main factors you look for to distinguish, this is something we want to invest in, this is going to fail, or
Yeah.
Is it just the numbers, like seeing a trend, like in sales or something?
Initially, I'd say that's part of it, but...
Part of it?
That's definitely a big part of it,
Okay,
yeah. Especially initially when... There's this like whole process. Initially, you generally just have access to like numbers that bankers package and show to you.
Okay.
And then as you go along the process, you'll meet the management team, and then that's another like huge part of it. Do we think the current management team is competent enough to help, to continue growing the business? Do we think they're trustworthy? Do we think they're ethical? Things like that. Do we think the market is growing? But I'd say initially, a big part of it is just looking, I'd say there's a couple simple things that you can look at initially that are important. It's like one, and it's like if you think about it, it's like maybe a little obvious too, but maybe not, I don't know. One is like growth, obviously, right?
Yeah, obviously.
And
trends.
Trends. And with that, it's like, it's not as, it's a lot of times it's not as easy as like, okay, are they, they're going past 3 years, cool, let's maybe, we're interested, let's continue looking at it. But a lot of times it's like, oh, they're down, 2 years ago, then they're up a ton in 2020. Oh, is that because of COVID? Do we think that's sustainable? Do we think like that level is the new base and they're going to continue going from that base? Or do we think they're going to come back down again? Things like that, right? Because a lot of businesses got a huge bump during COVID, actually.
Bump,
yeah, like grew a ton.
Oh, okay.
Think like
Such as what?
Like e-commerce, like companies that sell through e-commerce are a big one because a lot more people were buying online.
So then the value of those now might be skewed more. So like they're actually less than what they appear to be.
Exactly. Yeah, okay. It's like, for example, I was looking at one business that from like 2015 to 2019 was like flat. They didn't grow at all. Then 2020 they jumped to they grew like 35%. Like that's not sustainable. They're not going to grow at 35% every year. But maybe they grow at, we ended up passing on the opportunity. But maybe they grow at 10% a year, which is probably good. But they also, and this leads to the next sort of, I'd say, main financial thing you look at. There's a ton of things, but these are two like main sort of obvious, first things to look at. Yeah. The other one is like margins, which
profit margins.
Profit margins, yeah,
so
exactly.
How much you sell by versus compared to how much it costs to produce.
Yeah, how much it costs to produce and run the company. Because like if you generate, a ton of revenue, but your costs are the same and you have no profit, then it's like, and a lot of companies are like that, right? Like Uber loses, a lot of those tech companies lose money, but like we generally don't invest in like companies that lose money. That's just not our like that. Yeah. But I mean a lot of
do.
Yeah, so a lot of companies, right? Like they value. It's just because there's a lot of different strategies with investing, right? And so, a lot of strategies will value, growth.
Like Amazon, for example, doesn't really profit all that much, but they have huge growth.
Well, I think Uber's so Amazon. I don't know but they do have profit. I think they do have a good amount of profit. I don't know like exact numbers, but like Uber and Lyft are like the prime example. Like they lose a ton of money every quarter.
They're losing money.
Yeah, they lose like
but they're
for every
bigger.
Yeah, but like their revenue is growing tremendously, and so I think I'm probably simplifying here, but the general thesis in those scenarios is like eventually once you corner a market, once you grow large enough, then you can start raising prices, or you become more efficient, you can start getting rid of some costs, and then eventually, once you have that market, the goal is, capture that market first, and then worry about cash flows later.
Yeah, I see.
But yeah, Uber and Lyft right now, probably for every dollar they generate in revenue, I don't know the exact numbers, but they're losing money for each dollar, just because they're spending so much to grow and to gain customers.
That's really interesting.
Sense.
You wouldn't think that such a big, huge. Everyone knows Uber. Everyone knows.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that they're actually losing money.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like I think like Grubhub, Seamless, DoorDash, all those food delivery companies, they all lose money too.
And so, what are people thinking? Like, well, obviously, you said they're in the future they're gonna start making money. Mm-hmm. Do you? What's your personal opinion? You think it's a good investment? Because right now I feel like they are already very efficient, and they do already have pretty high costs.
That much better.
Yeah,
like if you think Uber raises their costs even more, then they're gonna not as many people are gonna do Uber. So
I don't know. I don't think I know. Like if you ask me, like were they a good investment 10 years ago? Yeah, definitely, because the people who invested in 5-10 years ago made a ton of money.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they a good investment now? Yeah, because
I think my view of investments is wrong. So, 10 years ago, they haven't made money, right?
Okay, so can we take a timeout first?
Yeah, sure.
So, when you invest in a company, do you buy a share of the company? Like you take 5% equity or whatever, like you'll hear on Shark Tank generally?
Yeah, usually how it works. Do you
ever do other stuff?
Yeah, so usually you either invest and all that money goes to the company, and then you get it's negotiated, but you get a certain percent stake, or you can buy out existing investors, and that money just goes to existing investors, and then you get a percent stake as well. But usually it's like in both scenarios you're buying shares, but the difference is like where the money goes, whether it's to help grow the business, or for the business, or to cash out existing investors, and sometimes it's a mix of both. You can invest,
The idea with you being able to invest in a company like Uber is that 10 years ago, even though they lose money, you would have bought a stock in Uber, for example, for like $20 because people didn't think that it was a very good idea to invest in. But now it might be worth $200 because they have so much more revenue. People think in the future they might make a lot of profit. So they're willing to buy in for more.
Exactly, because those investors were able to sell for much higher valuations or much higher share prices to new investors, and then those new investors. So
to my understanding, is the value isn't so much how much money they're actually making. It's
the value is what people ascribe to. Yeah, exactly.
How other people value it. Like,
At the end of the day, that's like all all it is, right? Like the value. How do we determine the value of the business that? So we just bought a business for my job, and right, like how do you determine that value? It's just based on
the most obvious is money, right?
We look at all that stuff, but like, and you look like real quick, like Tesla's another example. Like you all know Tesla loses a ton of money, right?
They lose a ton of money.
They lose it. Well, actually, a few
it depends on the quarters.
Yeah, some of the more recent quarters
I think recently they've been doing really.
Yeah, they have started to generate some profit, but like for a long time they were, and even when they've generated profit, I think we're getting real in the weeds here, but like there's like profit that companies report based on accounting, like public accounting standards, but like a lot of times cash flow could be like way lower. This is like that. That's we can talk about
how does that happen?
So like buy a piece of equipment for $100, and there's all these rules, but an easy example, and this might apply to some piece of equipment or whatever. But so you buy a piece of equipment for $100, and the estimate is that it lasts for 10 years, and you depreciate that over a straight line, so that's just $10 of an expense each year. Okay, $10, right? So you recognize that as an expense in your like revenue. You recognize that as an expense.
So instead of just saying the machine costed me $1,000, you say it costed me $100 this year, and it'll cost me $100 each of the next years.
Wouldn't you say 1,000 plus 100 each year?
So you do actually say you buy it all in cash. The year you buy it, that's an example that will lower your cash flow a ton, but not your profit. Because in the year you buy it, they say you recognize, instead of recognizing all $100 of an expense that year, you recognize, this is just an example, but it's probably a relatively accurate example. Instead of recognizing $100 of an expense that year, you recognize $10 for the next 10 years. So your cash decreases by $100, but you only recognize $10 of an expense that first year.
Okay.
I see.
Yeah. So we just got really into the
accounting. I think that last example really
makes sense
really well.
Yeah.
So profit, that would only be $10. Minus $10 for your profit.
Yeah.
But you're $100 less cash on it.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So you're saying Tesla has actually not been getting any profit at all.
Overall, they lose cash.
Okay.
They're cash flow negative.
But they're becoming...
But they're getting assets that are worth enough to maybe make it worth it? Maybe.
Or generating revenue so that maybe one day they can turn a profit on it or generate cash flow on it. Or like another thing is just like gaining customers too. Once you have like this huge customer base, then
once you build up the name,
then
Tesla.
Maybe there's ways you can monetize. There's ways you can monetize them. And so, like the customer base is like an important aspect of it too, which isn't reflected. I guess kind of reflected in the financials, but not like explicitly.
Time out, Dad. Yeah. Stop.
Oh, what's he doing?
He's like, stop.
Oh, sorry.
Alright, go back. So you said Tesla isn't making...
Yeah, and I'm not like an expert on Tesla, so I don't want to like speak out of turn, but I feel like the general school of thought is, they're building a huge following, a huge customer base, and in turn generating a lot of revenue, and one day they'll, be able to start generating positive cash flows from that.
I see. Yeah. Do you think? Part of the reason they're probably not making profit is because they're spending so much money building factories and stuff, right?
Yeah,
and once you build those, you're not going to have to spend that money again.
Not nearly as much.
And so that's one of the dilemmas of super high growth companies as well. Is like they're prioritizing growth, right? So it requires a ton of investment to build the marketplace that Uber had, and so that's also same thing with Tesla. So, part of the thought process is probably like a lot of these maybe one-time investments that you don't have to make in the future, but as a result, you're burning a lot of cash.
I see. So if you were an investor investing in Tesla, say, 5 years ago or something, that would be more of a intuition investment, right? Rather than like a numbers investment. Because from a numbers standpoint, you might say like, oh, this is terrible, I'm not making any money. But like,
I mean, I would say probably, a lot of people who are investing in Tesla are
going off of intuition. Just like, I think that this is going to explode.
I think a lot of people speculate in Tesla. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, because if you, at the end of the day,
like land speculation in history. Tesla stock, you think is at speculation prices right now?
Yeah, or like, I'm not comparing this to like the tulip like there's all these like, you all know that like the
I've heard
tulip
of the
speculation.
speculation.
I don't even know I don't remember the exact story, but basically
it's
like
Great Britain is what I heard. I think.
Yes, I forget exactly what. Maybe
tulip, like the flower.
Like the flower. At one point in history, like there was a country where tulips were like the most valuable. Yeah, insanely like valuable. Okay. And it was purely based on like just people ascribing value to it. Yeah. And then obviously it
crashed.
It crashed because
the people who had a bunch of tulips are now super poor instead of super rich.
Yeah, or like the value of their tulips.
Because I mean, before you could have 20 tulips and buy like 100 cows with it. Now you can buy half a cow with 20 tulips.
Exactly. So,
so that's speculation, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people who invest in Tesla are probably speculating. I'm not saying they're wrong. Like Tesla could blow up.
What do you think? I think personally, like I think it's smart. I don't know.
I don't think that you're in a place to be able to
I don't think I'm in a place to be able to say that either. Like,
assuming that these people are uninformed investors, I guess.
No, there's a lot of informed investors that invest in Tesla.
Not as informed as they should be.
Well, there are a lot of really smart people who are investing in Tesla, but I think there's also a lot of people who are just like the stock market in general. I don't know. We're going down a rabbit hole now, but
I think it's good. The difference between speculation and real investing,
real investing. You're like doing your research. You develop a thesis. You have like evidence and supporting points for why you think it'll grow, why you think the business will grow, not just why you think like the stock price will grow, why like GameStop, right? Earlier this year, that was like pure speculation, right?
The price per share went way up.
Yeah. So like GameStop, I don't even remember there was like, it was crazy within like a day or two, like all these people on Reddit just drove up the stock price by like over 1,000%, I think, or like I don't know the exact number, but it was crazy, and it was purely like speculation. And I had some friends that like try to buy into it. That's speculation, right? Because they don't know, like they know what GameStop is, but like they're buying it because they think more people will buy it at a higher price, not because they think like the business will the business actually really struggling. I see. So I think, I don't know if I explained that well.
So another thing I want you to explain to me is what you do with your investing is you give a company a certain amount of money to work with. But buying stocks, from what I understand, isn't quite that.
Yeah.
Buying stocks is like you get, we'll just call it a sheet of paper. You get a piece of paper, which isn't actually a piece of paper, from someone else. And now you own a stock, and that piece of paper can fluctuate in price. Yeah. But that doesn't like give any money to the company to help them invest.
Yeah, that's like absolutely correct. And we do that sometimes too. It's not a publicly traded stock. It's just private. Like we'll just cash out the existing investors for an ownership of the stake, which is the same thing as buying a stock, right? You're buying that stock from someone else. So you're cashing them out in exchange for a percentage of the business. We'll do that too for private businesses. And a lot of times we'll invest additional money to help them grow, but not always. You don't necessarily need to, because the company generates cash that you can invest to help grow the business. So that's right though. With a stock, you're buying it from someone else
in
exchange for a percent ownership in the company. So you're technically, partial owner of that business. and then it fluctuates in price because the public markets, right? It's constantly stocks are.
So changing topics a little, Nathan has told me before that you think that you would be better off if you got a degree in something else instead of business, and then learned the business stuff later.
Yeah.
What do you wish that you would have taken instead, and why?
I wish I would have studied something related to history. I enjoy learning about history, and from what I've seen is if you're just somewhat smart, you can learn. I think you can pick up the business stuff, the finance stuff, but like in college. But like a lot of times, once you start working, especially if you have a really busy job, you don't have time to just like read history like 10 hours a week, right? Maybe some jobs you have the flexibility to do that. So I wish in college I wish I studied something. And it's not that I don't enjoy business or finance. I wish I would have studied something, even if it was in addition to business, like history, that I really enjoy, that I might not necessarily have as much time to learn about, later on in life or after college. I also think you build really valuable skills for certain, not that you don't build valuable skills studying business, but I think you build very valuable sort of like communication skills studying something in liberal arts, right? Like written and oral communication skills. And another, like engineering too, you build really strong quantitative skills, probably more so than any other major, except maybe like physics or math or something like that. But you build a very strong like quantitative skill set with those, right? And that's very applicable to business. And same thing if you're studying something in liberal arts, communication is obviously also like extremely important in business, finance, anything in that realm. And so you build that, and I think that skill set is I think that skill set's much more difficult to build than just like learning about, certain finance or business, like topics, if that makes sense.
So you think you didn't? Then would anyone hire you if you didn't have any business qualifications?
No, you need to learn, like the people who study like liberal arts or like engineering or stuff like that. They kind of just learn what they need to learn for like the interviews or whatever on their own time. But you have to do that anyway if you study business.
Yeah, I see. I see.
So yeah.
So the big thing is the interview, obviously, for business, getting jobs and stuff like that. I think you mentioned before that the interview for business firms is more, it's less technical than it would be for like Brian's computer science.
I don't know. I have no idea what a computer
Well, Brian
science
said it was
is.
super technical. It's like all technical.
Oh yeah, it's probably less technical than interviews for tech firms, I would think. Yeah.
So what would be like an example of a question that's more just like feeling, I guess?
More like behavioral. That's
yeah.
like the one example might be like, tell me about a time you like overcame a challenge, or tell me about a time you worked with someone that was difficult and how did you manage a situation, or tell me about a time when you were given an unreasonable deadline, how did you manage that? Things like that. Which I don't know. I think they're kind of silly because at the end of the day, like you kind of just you can stay like if you practice enough, you can right like they just take you at your word. If you're good at telling a story, like you can just like right. I won't say they're all BS, but like you can't. It's kind of it's up to like right. You can tell them whatever you want.
But that's also kind of.
Part of it too is like how
that might be a skill they're looking for in the first place. How well you're able to
how well you're able to I don't like how well I'd say how well you're able to like communicate communicate your skill a skill that you or communicate a skill that you might have.
I'm gonna say I'm like a little bit disappointed about that. I wanted to like, I remember there was a scene in The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith.
Yeah.
Where they took him, or like it was in the interview, and the guy asked, like what. He presented him a scenario. He's like, some guy got hired and he didn't have a shirt on or something like that.
Yeah,
remember?
yeah.
And Will Smith was like, oh, he must have had really nice pants.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
And then he got hired or he got the job or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's nothing like that. Nothing like weird like that. It's more normal questions.
Maybe there are sometimes, but probably not
experience.
Probably not. I haven't seen anything like that, but there could be stuff like that occasionally. I know. Yeah. I'm sure people have gotten the nod for a job by coming up with really clever responses. Yeah, to a question. Mm-hmm. I think that is. I don't think it's as extreme as like someone showing up with no shirt and like but yeah.
I see. Alright, so completely different. Are you good for business and everything?
Sure.
Completely different. You ran a marathon.
Yeah.
Last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
What was it like? 26.2 miles, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't stop any of it.
I fell once. So I cramped and I fell once. So I stopped briefly then to sort of massage the cramp out. But after that, no.
What was your time?
It was a little over 4 hours.
Okay.
But
do you have a goal going in?
Yeah, I wanted to actually do 3:30.
Ooh.
The one I did in Italy was 3:40. And I felt good in my training that I could hit 3:30, and I was on that pace until mile 16. I think mile 16 when I started cramping and fell.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was that like when you're at 16? You're like, oh, I'm going good, and then, and 10 more miles to go.
Yeah. It was pretty brutal, but I mean, I don't know. It was fun. It was still fun. It was fun though. Like I really enjoyed it. I'm running another one. Well, I'll see if I can. Might have hurt my leg yesterday, but I'm supposed to run another one here in a month and a half. So hopefully that one will go better.
Yeah, I mean 3:30 to 4. That's a 30 minutes.
Yeah. Because after I started cramping, I had got 2 huge knots in each of my legs. It was just like I was like at this point, like I just need to finish.
You kind of like mentally give up on that 3:30.
Yeah, it would. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could have pushed the pain more. Mm-hmm. But yeah, after that, I was like, all right, I just need to like. Yeah. I just need to like not. I just need to like not walk.
Yeah, I mean, because you cramp. Did you cramp in your calf?
No, like my
top of the quad.
Yeah,
okay,
top of both quads.
No, I've had that. Yeah. No, yeah. And also a question I want to ask you, just from experience of being a swimmer, also having not as bad as 4-hour workouts straight, but the other day we did 10 400 IMs, and I remember like number 3 or number 4 or something. I was like, I really hate myself.
What about what's the question?
So does that happen to you when you're doing that, like running a marathon?
Yeah, sometimes, but like I've come to really. I don't think I appreciate. I think you're probably better at this when I was your age, but I've come to really appreciate. I think like the mental toughness it builds, being able to like push past that pain. I almost like, I don't want to say seek it out, but like, well, I almost kind of seek it out now. Yeah.
You're running a marathon.
Yeah. Seeking it out. Like I love like getting to that limit of where you feel like you've expended all your energy.
Yes.
And then pushing further. Because I think a lot of times when people think they've expended all their energy or 100% energy, I think it's way less than actual 100%. Mm-hmm. You just need to push past that initial like maybe extreme pain or initial pain, and then you kind of get to that next level, and then it's better. It's not like sunshine and rainbows, but it's like better.
No, yeah, I understand. I totally agree. I'm sure. I think I've gone through that mindset like a few times, but the one time I can think of is when I planked. Do you know about this?
I think so.
I definitely texted you and like the family about it. So I was very proud.
You played for like an hour or something?
Played for an hour and 11 minutes.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
I was out of the city.
There?
I was
out
of
the
city. He was with our friend Jackson over at your old house a mile away. And
so was he even practice?
I was out of the city. We had practice off or something. It was when COVID was more severe.
COVID, yeah, it was at the end of.
Yeah.
No, it was kind of like right in the smack dab middle of COVID.
Yeah.
Everyone was like stuck everywhere. We didn't really have practice.
He and my friend were working out at your old house.
Yeah.
I was outside of the city. They texted me that Jackson just did a 30-minute plank and he just gave up, and Nathan was still going. I was like, okay, I'm done here. I can drive into Lexington to go home. So I started going home, and then Nathan was still up when I was like 3 minutes away. Jackson called me. I drove to your house, came in, and saw Nathan plank for like 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And I was moving a little bit. I was like,
he took his arms off the ground.
But I always kept this with my body.
Okay. It was pretty good.
So I was always straight with my body.
Yeah.
I did this because when I came up after 11 minutes.
Blood.
Blood.
He was bleeding.
Our
friend scabbed quite a bit. He was bleeding.
I had a towel even. It was on carpet too. It wasn't even wood floor. It was on a carpet, and I had a towel.
Wow.
And I came up and there was blood like coming down my elbow.
What's the world record? You know,
it's like 7 hours.
7 hours.
I think it's 8, and the guy's not allowed to move either.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's not allowed to move like at all.
You're not allowed to look.
9:30.
9 hours 30 minutes.
Which that might be one of. I mean, I don't know. I moved like a little bit, but the most pain I remember was like. It's in my mind. No, really.
Yeah.
Really, because coming back to your point that when people think they've hit their limit, they can't go anymore. They're not even close to their full potential.
Yeah.
Like at 6 minutes or something, which is a long time.
Yeah.
To plank.
Yeah.
At 6 minutes,
You're
I was feeling it so bad. I was like, please just. We were trying to get to 5, I think. Me and Jackson.
And then he was like, no, let's do 10.
Because we were working out at the end. We were like, Jackson, let's just plank. Let's try to get 5. We got to 5. I was like, keep on going.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. No, we'll have Jackson on, and he'll give a better account of it too.
Yeah.
But we'll have him in like a few episodes. But then I was like, Jackson, let's just get to 10. Let's get to 10. And he was like, yeah, sure. And that motivated me too. We're motivating each other. And then 10 came. But in that first 10 minutes, it was so painful.
Yeah.
It hurt so bad. Because before that, prior to that hour and 11 minutes, I think my most was probably like 5 minutes or something like that.
Really?
I didn't think I could get to 10.
That's crazy.
And I got to an hour and 11 minutes.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
and was it most painful at that 10 around
no,
that?
not even 10. It was most painful probably
like 5.
5, because starting at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it was getting not completely numb, but I was getting
mentally numb to it.
Yeah.
My body was still burning.
Yeah.
And I think once it got past 10, maybe
then it just
15,
went numb.
Numb. Because I didn't even know. My elbows were completely gone.
Yeah.
I came up, there's blood down my forearms. I didn't even feel that. So, obviously, some point in there, I don't think my elbows would have been bleeding at 10 or 15.
Yeah,
But I think around
probably.
15, that's when, completely numb. Just completely numb. And I told myself, I don't know how many times I told myself, just 5 more minutes, but it must have been a lot. I think at one point, once I got to 15 or something, and I was completely numb, I told myself 30. I skipped a 5-minute interval.
Yeah.
I went to 15, I think, or something like that. And
it's impressive.
it is. I
Yeah.
don't think I could get 15.
You don't think that you would?
I don't know. I don't
Should we
think.
do one podcast where we just play?
Maybe.
I am not.
Maybe.
No one talks. Nathan just
no
plays
one
through
talks.
an
No,
hour and 30
actually,
minutes.
One very important part. You might think it's insignificant, very insignificant. There are actually many important small things that I think allowed me to do that.
Yeah.
I think something was in my head. I don't know specifically, but one thing that was physical, like there, was music. We had our huge like boombox thing, the Explorer Outback.
Yeah.
It's like the outdoor speaker.
Yeah.
Had it like right in front of our faces.
Oh, okay.
Had the Justin Bieber music completely turned up.
Oh,
Just right in our faces. We were just like yelling. We were singing.
Oh.
We were down there losing air. It's not efficient at all.
Yeah.
So there goes to say something too, that like we did it under terrible conditions also. Like I was losing so much air just yelling the lyrics to that song.
I didn't know that.
But still, like, obviously my body then could have gotten more than an hour and 11 minutes, for sure. If I was losing so much air within those first, 30 minutes, my body could have gone way farther. So it's just my mind that still held me back.
Yeah.
Despite going an hour and 11 minutes.
Yeah.
Still.
It's an interesting just like concept or dynamic.
Super interesting. Because you'd think that, so like you say, when you get to a point you don't think you can go further, you can still go so much more. I think that when I was at 5 minutes and I was dying, I think maybe going more would be 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Time is 4. 4 times what I've already done when I'm dying.
Yeah.
It's not 20 minutes. Hour and 11 minutes.
Did you hit another point where it was like super, like where it was really bad again, and then you got past that again?
Well, I'm saying like 15, I got really numb, but the whole time I was dying still.
Yeah,
I was still dying.
But was there another point that was like more
really
notable?
hard?
Where it was more notable than the rest?
I think.
Like you mentioned around like 5 minutes, and then you pushed past that. Then you were kind of numb. You were dying. It wasn't easy, obviously. But then was there another point that was more notable, or just like
there was? I think
that you pushed past, or was it just at the end?
There was 2 that pop out in my head, which I think would represent very well what actually happened. One, like 5 minutes maybe after Jackson went down. So when Jackson was up with me, so like 41 minutes around 40 minutes. Jackson got to 37, I believe.
36.
36.
And then you didn't double it because you went from 111 to 11,
Yeah.
and then we forgot.
Yeah, I wanted to go for... Yeah, no, I remember I wanted to double Jackson, but then I also wanted to go 111, 11, 11. Just because I thought that would be really cool.
Did you do 111, 11?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I didn't do like 111, 11. I wanted to do
111, 11.
111, 11, 11. I wanted to do the 11 milliseconds.
Minutes, seconds.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to do 11 milliseconds just to like sound cool. Hundreds. But I wanted to do that just to sound cool. Obviously I didn't do it. But I did do the 11 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like point, whatever. I can say it's 11.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to double Jackson. But when Jackson went down, I think 4 or 5 minutes after, I was feeling it again.
Yeah.
Really bad. Because Jackson was out there, and he went down. That kind of tore me down. And also, when Andrew came, he came in like hour.
Roughly.
He came in like hour.
Yeah.
And I set in my head when Andrew came. No. I set in my head that I was going to come up. I was going to stay up until Andrew came for sure.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to stay up.
Yeah.
So, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
And then, so that was kind of another benchmark. Instead of saying like 5 minutes, it was the Andrew game.
Yeah.
That one was hard, I remember specifically, because there wasn't like a set time. Andrew was like 15 minutes. I think he came in 20 minutes or something like that. He was like 5 minutes off. I remember actually. Because I was like, I hit
changing for you?
No, because I remember. I remember thinking, I hit the time that Andrew said he was going to be here, but he's not here. I was kind of like, Andrew.
Yeah.
I was thinking, he was like a few minutes late, and I think after Andrew came, when Andrew came, I felt another like small boost, and then a few minutes after Andrew was there, my next goal was to get to 111, 11, 11, and then I think, like, at some point after Andrew came in, that 111, 11, 11 I also hit another like hurdle, and I was like, I'm gonna stay until 11.
Yeah. Did you know your time the whole time? Like, were you looking at the clock?
Yeah, 9 o'clock. I think we like FaceTimed a few friends too, and yeah, it was.
That's funny.
It was definitely
so
crazy.
And running, it's a little different because, like, once your quads cramp, if you've got a calf cramp before, if you get a calf cramp when you're swimming, you can't swim through that. You're kind of done.
You're done.
Yeah.
If you stop right away, like, just absolutely stop, stretch for a couple minutes, you can get back into practice.
Yeah.
If you don't stop, you just can't swim.
Yeah.
In marathon running, people hit the wall, though.
That's
What's that? Do you think, like, I don't know.
Like, so what I said with my plank where I kept on pushing, is that, like, because when you're planking, like, you're hurt, I think your body is capable of staying there for a long time.
But in running,
I think your legs are physically, like, incapable.
It's kind of different.
I don't know. I probably hit as bad of a wall. I feel like you could hit cramping, and I don't know. It was really slow the last like 8 to 10 miles, but it was like I was still like at a jog. There are situations where probably you can't go anymore. I feel like it's maybe similar. Like you hit a wall.
I think
that doesn't necessarily mean like you can't run anymore, but it's like it just gets way harder.
Like, is there a point in there where your legs get numb too? Are you searching for that point?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there were a lot of times in my training runs where I feel like it's a different dynamic in whatever activity you're doing, but a lot of training runs, it's like mile, 1 through whatever 5 would be good, and then it would be really slow. I'd be hurting like, say, mile 10 to 13. So I did a few like 20-mile runs, 18, 20-mile
what
runs.
happened to 6 to 10?
So 6 to 10 are like fine, right?
Oh, okay.
And basically the moral story is like there's a few miles, when I'm like, 6 to 10 miles in where it's like, I feel terrible now. Mm-hmm. How am I going to do like 15 more miles?
Yeah.
And then like mile 13 rolls around, I just start flying like miles 13 through 17 because you kind of just get like you kind of get numb, like all the like it. Literally, yeah, you kind of like there were a lot of times where I just go numb. I just start like flying, like fastest pace like is like mile 13 through 17, and I kind of die again mile 17 through 20. But I feel like that's a similar sort of dynamic.
I think so too.
Yeah,
definitely.
The difference with that is though there's like obviously varying levels of intensity. With that, it's just one. Yeah. Like. One level of intensity.
At the end of the workout, I've done really long planks. Well, I've tried to do really long planks sometimes. My most is like 4 minutes. And at that point, like after the workout, I was shaking so hard in my legs that I couldn't breathe.
Oh, dang.
Like I was shaking.
Yeah. That's what were you shaking and that's what, whenever I try to hold really long planks, I always end up like near the end shaking like uncontrollably. Did you ever like stop shaking, or were you shaking like the whole time?
No, I mean that's actually why I needed to do this a little bit, because I was starting to like
really
really just like go. So that's why I needed to do that. I wasn't shaking, I don't think.
Most of the time you weren't.
Yeah. No, not really. At the end, I just plopped down.
How many marathons have you run?
Just 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
wait.
Yeah. Just
no, the Kentucky one was a half. Yeah.
Just 2.
Yeah, but hopefully 3 in January.
And there's like a marathon, like 5 marathons around the world that are really well known, right?
Yeah, I think it's 6.
6?
5 or 6, yeah. And if you run all of them, it's New York, Chicago, Boston, Berlin, Tokyo, and London. So 6.
Are you trying to do that? Possibly.
Eventually, yeah. I don't know. I have all these. I don't know. I probably need to triage my goals. I want to do an Ironman. I want to do.
Triage means write them down.
No, triage just means basically prioritize. Okay. Like choose what's more important.
All these things are like. I mean, you could dedicate just like a week of your life in the whole span of things. That's not like.
Yeah, but it's tough, right? Like traveling to Berlin for a marathon, I'd probably have to block off a few days because you got to travel around the world. You got to rest. You got to probably recover. That day is probably done for. And then again, like I guess if you are constantly training, you don't have to keep leading up to it. But it's time consuming though, like training for that stuff. And so I don't know.
Like swimming. I'm kind of thinking of doing. I'm not going to do D1 or D2 swimming in college. I don't think.
Yeah,
because it's just 20 hours a week. It's just too much.
Yeah, it's
and it's not just 20 hours. It's 20 really hard hours that are exhausting.
Yeah.
But one thing is like, how often do you work out in New York? Yeah.
Let's see if I run. Not 20 hours a week.
Not 20 hours.
But like I couldn't though. Like no.
Not even every day. Oh,
no,
okay.
If I could, maybe like when I'm not crazy busy, say just like an average week, I'd say 4 days a week.
How long?
On average, probably an hour. I try to shoot for at least an hour.
Okay. So it's not even really close.
On average, probably more. Because like one time during the weekend, maybe like 2 hours. Once during the weekend, maybe 2 hours. But yeah, it's not. But also college, like like college is not hard. Like maybe an uncontroversial opinion. I don't know. Like
I think
if you're studying like engineering is probably really hard. Engineering is probably really time consuming. but still, it's, and this is just from the outside looking in, just seeing people who study engineering. Are you an MSTC, Andrew?
No, I go to Lexington Catholic.
Okay. I say still compared to high school though, like high school, you're how long are y'all in? How long are y'all in school?
So little now.
I'm supposed to be 8, but I usually.
It's slightly less now.
Yeah.
8 hours a day for 5 days, right?
7 hours a day, and I have
that
50 minutes of lunch.
Way more of a time commitment than college.
But also,
so the time commitment in high school is kind of crazy. Like, I was way less busy school-wise in college than high school. And now we went to a really intense. We were a really intense high school program. I don't know how it is at Catholic, but the workload in college was way less. It was honestly easy compared to our program in high school.
So total even classes combined with homework and all these other college projects is less than those 5-8 hours. Because those 5-8 hours
way tremendously less.
Okay.
Way less than 8 hours a day. And maybe some weeks say leading up to finals, right? When you're really cramming for a test or something, you have a huge project due that you procrastinated for. Yeah, maybe you might spend 6 to 8 hours a day,
doing actual work.
Yeah,
okay.
But on average, the time commitment is way less than high school. So I would cut out. Because that's 40 hours, right, in high school.
Yeah,
and that's not even what you spend outside of school, right?
Because I only have another 8. Assuming I get 8 hours of sleep, I only have another 8.
Yeah, so maybe 45. Assuming you only spend 5 hours outside of school and homework, 40. I would cut I don't know. I'm throwing this is a big generalization. At least for me, I'd probably cut out 30 hours of that, if not more.
30 of the 40
where
hours.
I was say we were in school 40 hours a week, and say I spent 5 hours a week outside of school, so 45 hours.
Okay.
In college, that might have been 12 to 15
hours a week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Engineering is gonna be different. Engineering will be different, but
I really don't think it'll be all that difficult. We'll see.
Engineering, but still, it'd be way, way less. So if you think about, you fill the rest of that time with. That's why when Nathan said he was concerned about like whether he'd have enough time to balance other stuff with swimming, it's not going to be easy for sure. But also, like, I think you all are probably comparing it to like the amount of time you have to spend on school today, like 8 hours. It's nowhere close to 8 hours a day, right? Like you're only in class maybe like on average. I'm trying to remember. Maybe like 2 to 3 hours. A lot of it is stuff you do like on your own. So if you manage that really well, then it's just way, way less than high school. So you're able to fill your time with a lot more stuff, whether it's swimming or joining fraternity or other extracurricular stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I see, definitely. What I was going to go with earlier, and then we talked about school, was even if you don't do 20 hours a week of swimming like that, you're still going to find time to exercise, right?
Yeah.
And you're still going to exercise. Just because I think you also find out this too. Exercise is like so important for your head also. Not for your body, but like for working efficiently.
That's like one of the main reasons I love running. It's like literally like my therapy. Like it just clears my head.
Mm-hmm. Like I realized I work best for like schoolwork and stuff and doing homework after a workout for swimming too.
Yeah, there's probably like studies out there. I feel like I've seen some stuff out there. I just don't know. I don't know.
People talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What were some of the other things on your list that you wanted to do? Ironman, all 6 of the marathons.
Yeah, I really want to do Ironman. I really want to do all 6 of those marathons. I want to. Now this one is a really, really long-term goal, but I want to run a marathon in every state.
Really? Okay.
So that's like a a lifetime goal.
Yeah.
I know some people who have done like 20 or 30 or something like that. They're like they're in like the thing about running is like if you take care of yourself, like people like running is one of those things that like people do when they're like 60, and a lot of people it's like a lot of.
You know that old man, the guy who's like really ripped and he's always shirtless and has a huge beard running around here.
Oh yeah.
If you live in Beaumont,
There's a guy who everyone knows in Beaumont.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking. Yeah.
I actually stopped to talk to him.
Really?
I want to say his name is Jack, but I do remember for sure that he ran a marathon once and he averaged less than 7 per mile.
Only once?
Less than 7 minutes?
Yeah, less than 7 minutes.
He only ran one once?
I know. That's just like one time he averaged.
Okay.
I assume with how much he runs, he ran more.
That's also like one of my I really want to qualify for it.
2:16?
No, that's so if you average 7 minutes a mile, that ends up being like 3. That ends up being right around 3:05. Like around 3 hours. 3:05.
Yeah, 3 hours 4 minutes.
I got it.
Come on, 3 hours 4. Yeah. 7 times. Yeah, I don't want to do the math now, but okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know, to qualify. Because another like long running goal. I actually have a running $1,000 bet with one of my other friends who's a runner. Is who can qualify for the Boston first, and to qualify for the Boston, you have to basically run like a 6:50, 6:55 pace.
6:50?
Yeah.
You think you'll be able to do that?
I think so.
I mean,
with enough training. I mean, that's another like really long term goal.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna be able to do that. I don't think in the next like year. But also it gets slower the older you get.
Yeah, obviously.
It doesn't get. Okay. But for men, it doesn't.
Oh.
It doesn't get slower until like you're 29.
You mean
so,
the qualifying time?
I
thought you were talking about like you. I'll get slower as I get older.
Yeah.
Do you think 20?
Where do you think you peak for running?
Yeah.
That's a big topic of debate. I think it's way older than like other sports, like swimming or like basketball. Like
my
basketball,
guess is
baseball.
Swimming for guys is like 25.
Yeah, like mid to kind of late 20, like 25, something like that.
You're still pretty good when you're in like 29. After that, you fall off pretty fast in swimming.
So I think for a lot of other sports, it's like basketball. I feel like people talk about people being in their prime like that 25 to 29 age range. Same thing for football, baseball.
Skill is
baseball, yeah. Football might be a little younger. Football is probably a little
Definitely.
younger. Yeah.
And then baseball, it's actually different for pitchers versus hitters. Because hitting, you need more like athleticism.
Yeah.
And pitchers.
I'd be interested to read, but long distance running, I think it's one of those unique ones where like a lot of people, it's like a lot older. Like you see a lot of people running their PRs and marathons in their like 30s and 40s. Yeah. A lot of people I want to look more into the evidence, but like at least some of the books I've read, like Born to Run is a good one.
I've heard people talk about that.
That's a great book if you all haven't read it. But I'll have to find the exact stats. But like a lot of people hit their PRs for like marathons in like their 30s and 40s and are faster like in their 40s than when they were like 19, 20 years old.
Mm-hmm. And these are like
how competitive were they when?
Yeah, these are controlled studies. Like were they training relatively similar?
I have to look at the. I mean,
based off my no knowledge at all, I would guess that the peak age would actually be younger. Because I think you have to find a balance between athleticism and I guess skill is the right word.
Yeah.
And for running, there's definitely form, right? But for compared to other sports, it's
probably less.
Way more less skill, more athleticism.
But I almost like. I guess it depends how you define athleticism. When I think of athleticism, I think of like quickness, like how high you can jump.
Yeah.
Like how fast you are, like how like speed. But like I don't really think of like in like really extreme endurance. That's almost like a separate thing to me, because I feel like I know people who are like really athletic or unathletic, right? Like they can't throw a baseball for their life, or they can't make a shot in basketball for their life, or they don't know how to throw a football.
You can't. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, but
I'm not a trophy.
Yeah, that's terrible.
But like,
I'm not very good.
Yeah, but they could go like swim for hours, or they could go do an Ironman, or they can go like, run a 3-hour marathon. So like, I feel like endurance is like, this is all just me, like, this isn't based on any. This is just based on my like observation, like opinions, things like that. But like endurance to me is almost like a separate. Yeah, they're related. I'd say for sure. Like if you can go do a marathon or Ironman, like you're not unathletic, but like I don't think of those exactly as like the same thing.
I think that's definitely
like LeBron James couldn't go out and run a marathon. Like most basketball players couldn't. Maybe they could. Actually,
he
maybe.
would die. There's no way.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think he would die.
He would die.
Yeah. So like those are almost like two separate things to me. So like related, but like
he could train to run one. I don't think that he could.
Yeah. But he's obviously athletic.
Yeah. I'm thinking like two of my.
I'll look this up and find some of like the studies I'm thinking about, but I think long distance running or long distance endurance events in general, it's one of those unique things where like you see a lot more. For example, you just see a lot more people in like their 30s and 40s doing Ironmans than like in their like than people in like their teens or 20s like doing Ironmans, right? I see way more like old people running marathons and like doing Ironmans, like relatively old, than like people in like their early 20s.
Isn't Eliud Kipchoge like relatively old?
Yeah, Eliud Kipchoge. Yeah, exactly. He's like, and he just had his fastest time ever. Yeah, Eliud or how do you pronounce it?
Kipchoge.
I think he's like in his 40s. That's a prime example.
That me, though.
Like you know who
37.
that is? Okay. 47?
37.
37. Okay.
27.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Yeah, so 30, exactly.
That
He's been at his peak like in the past couple of years.
That convinces me then, because
that's a good example.
Like, I was gonna say with all the things that you've been saying is that maybe like, I think for sure it's a maturity thing. So why more people 30 or 40 than
because
20?
Such a huge part of it is mental. So like you're probably mentally tougher.
Yeah, so it's a huge maturity thing. Why more older people run, and why maybe more older people sometimes look faster because maybe they're training more, whatever.
Yeah.
But if the world record runner was like, I think he got the world record a few years ago or something. So it was like 34 maybe. If he was 34, then that convinces me. For sure.
And he just won the Olympics last year.
Yeah.
So, yes, I mean, he's still at his peak.
Okay.
Wait, last year, right?
Yeah, it would be last year.
I guess it's past summer.
This past summer.
Yeah, so just a few months ago,
Never mind.
he won the Olympics. So, like, he's still sort of, at his
he's definitely
peak.
at his peak.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
Yeah, it's like everything in your prime, people think of as like in your maybe late 20s, mid 20s. Like long distance running is one of those things where it's like that's kind of the anomaly. I don't know all the reasons. I think mental toughness is maybe one of them. Having built that up over years, yeah, but
the world athletes, that's not really important because all of them are insanely mentally tough.
Yeah.
Which just leaves it down to you can be the best in the world at 37.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just hard to
know
think
exactly
that,
what the science is behind that.
Yeah. I'm not even sure if I don't think there even is.
I think there is.
There's some. Someone has to have tried to do a research project.
I think there is. No, it's all good.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll get back to you.
Okay.
I'll look into it and get back to you.
Do you think that you're prepared to run an Ironman? Or do an Ironman? Do you think you could right now?
Right now, no. I'm not experienced on the bike enough.
Yeah.
I've never been a biker. The swimming part is
so short.
Yeah, it's like
what is
for me right now. It's
3.4 miles.
2.4.
2.4.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's not. Well, for you all, that's probably. Is that easy?
That's really
to finish easy. Yeah.
You can do any length.
Like
easily.
yeah, I could go out and do 2.4 now. Like it would have. Like I could do it. I could do it easily. Like it wouldn't be a challenge. Yeah.
Like for me, 2.4 mile swim, that's absolutely nothing. The
Yeah,
marathon and the 150-mile bike, I just would die.
Yeah, the toughest thing I think you need to do too in an Ironman is like the transition from bike to run. Like you need to get used to that because after you're done biking for so long, your legs are like so tight. So then so then practicing the bike to the run I think is really important. But right now I don't think I could bike. Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah. I've said a few times that Matt and I are going to do one eventually. My brother.
Yeah, well, let me know when you all want to do one. I really want to get a bike in the because I don't have a bike yet, but that's like the next thing I really want to get into.
So when you're running a marathon and you're dying, I kind of hinted at what I think of when I did my plank. It's like 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
Get to this next thing.
Yeah.
What do you tell yourself when you're in the trenches, when you're like dying, like I hate this, I'm hurting so bad, I just want to quit. Like, what do you tell yourself to keep on going? To get past that I kind of think of it as like a mountain.
Yeah.
Kind of like I need to climb it, and then I'm still going, but like it's easier on the way down. I just need to get to that point of pain, get past it. What do you tell yourself when you're really dying?
Just don't be soft. That's all.
No.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't tell myself anything during practice. You just go.
Yeah,
there's no thought.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Like, we did a 8K Friday night, this past one, and then 8 hours later, Saturday morning, we did a 7K, almost all of which was IM, and it was all pretty rough. And Nathan said earlier, when he's in a set like that, he thinks like, I kind of hate myself right now.
Yeah.
I've never really had any thought like that. It's just like, ugh, and then you just keep going.
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to not say like, oh, I really hate myself right now, because when you're swimming and you're dying, like on a 1 IM itself can be pretty hard.
I think. Have you all heard of David Goggins?
Yeah.
You
know.
I think I think his mindset of just like learning to like love the challenge and the pain. Like I got to the point where I'm like in a lot of pain on a long run. I just tell myself I love it. I love this. Like once I get past this, like I'm gonna feel like I don't know, like such a badass.
Yeah,
like,
you're gonna feel so accomplished.
Yeah, it's like the change. Like mindset is like the change in mindset is even when I was like cramping and like part of it was like, oh, like this is like. Part of it was like, hate myself. I was like, I know I'm gonna finish this. Like, I was like, part of it was just like, I love this. Like, I'm gonna finish it. Like afterwards, I'm gonna be like, this, like, it can't get that much worse.
Yeah.
And was able to get past it. So, also like, maybe part of this was exaggerated in the New York Marathon just because there were a lot of people. There were like people like running with this foundation who like were in wheelchairs or like who were blind, and so like sometimes what I tell myself, I just remember this when you asked it, but like sometimes what I'll tell myself too is that like I have it like really easy. Like this is nothing compared to what other, like I'm running the marathon, like people have ran like 100-mile races before. Like I'm soft for thinking I've heard. Like people have done like Ironmans, which is like marathon. That's nothing. So then I'll just like talk to myself like what are you complaining about? Or like people who were like blind running the race, or like people who like don't, who can't walk. And then that like gets me pumped up too. I'm like, all right, like what am I complaining about? Let's.
The people who can't walk wheelchair a marathon.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. So there are like people who there's like a device people. But I was just saying in general people who like can't run but then there are people like in the marathon who, it's there's like a I don't think device is the right word, but there's like a wheelchair type thing that you can use, and you're not, I think you're using your hands or something to pedal, or your arms or something to pedal, but it's like, dang, if those guys are out, like can't even run, they're still finding a way to like, and there were people who were like blind. I think there actually were people who were actually in wheelchairs, and they had a team like pushing them, and then there were people who were like blind running it too, and then they had people guiding them.
Perspective.
Yeah, stuff like that gets me pumped up sometimes too.
Would you say like perspective is a good word to say?
Yeah, putting things in perspective. Yeah,
definitely. I think that's so important too. I also sometimes, I don't think I've done it recently, but I know after I broke my arm and I couldn't swim for a little while, like after I broke my arm and I was like dying on something, I would tell myself just be happy, like able to swim. Yeah, exactly. That's similar concept. And like not even only in athletics, it's like kind of moving a athletics mindset to a real life mindset. I feel like I've noticed that so much. Perspective has helped me so much in real life too.
Yeah, for sure.
Lack of perspective killing me, and then perspective also helping. I mean, like when I know one time specifically recently, I was like, probably a few weeks ago, I was like beating myself up. It was like Tuesday night or something. I was just watching TikTok. I had a lot of homework and I wasn't doing it, so I was beating myself up. I was like, I really hate this. I remember I was burnt. I was like, we had a double on Tuesday, so I was really tired, mentally, physically, everything. Still had some stuff ahead of me I didn't do, and I was like, gosh, I was just not feeling it.
Yeah.
And then I'd scroll to this TikTok and it was like, I don't remember specifically, but it was like someone whose life was like, not even, they would laugh at me, like sitting in my room feeling terrible about myself because I'm really tired physically or mentally. They'd like laugh at this. So I'm like, I remember that really got to me. Like, sometimes I think I'm like good for, going to school in MSCC like all day and then swimming also every single day. Like, I think I'm a hard worker, but like I'm nothing compared to, like, what I'm going through is nothing compared to what a lot of people have to go through.
Yeah.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Similar thing.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess,
yeah. I think there's a lot of principles in like sports, athletics are very can be translated. A lot of the principles and all that are very translatable to like business and just real life.
Mm-hmm. I thought you were gonna say transcendental.
No.
Pop out a big word. That works too, though, right? Transcendental. It means like it transcends.
Is that a word? Transcendental?
I'm pretty sure.
Transcendental is a word. I don't know what it means.
I know what transcends means,
yeah.
but I guess I didn't know transcendental was the word.
Very surprised if it doesn't mean like passing the normal. Yeah. So perspective passes just athletics.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Ali. Okay, so I think if we cut out the parts that we plan to cut out, it'll be like perfect time. So
cool.
Yeah, episode number 2 with Michael. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be back at you next week with
someone
else. Sure yet. Yeah, someone else. It'll be a surprise.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, see you guys.